Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be a full champion guide for Hurndig, the fusion champion going on right now in Raid Shadow Legends, including an infographic showing you how to build this champion, the masteries, the booking process, and we'll talk about my opinions on the design of Hurndig and his quality as a champion. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so first of all, in the index, we go down to Dwarves, and then the Magic Affinity Attack Legendary. Right here is the Fusion Champion, Hurndig. Now, as always, for my champion guides down below in the vid description and also a pinned comment, nice and easy to find, I've got the infographic here with some of the general breakdown of information on this guy. You can see top left, we got 15 books, which is a little bit unfortunate. The stat priority, the green stats you definitely want, the yellow are helpful, and then my grades for the champion on the different areas of the game, and the masteries that you'll see in this video, plus the multipliers right there in the middle for the different abilities. But I'll put that away, and let's dive into some kit and base stat analysis. So first of all, for the base stats, 16k HP, a little on the low side, but the defense makes up for it at 1100 for an attack champion. The base attack of 1409, not bad, not super crazy though either. Then everything else is basically pretty normal. 98's not low, not high for speed. Crit rate, crit damage, resistance of 30 is decently sturdy for a damage dealer, but the dwarves in general usually get a very sturdy base resist. And then the base accuracy of 10 is nice. Sometimes you'll see 0 even on debuffers, so it is handy that he does get the 10 because he does need accuracy to get a lot of value out of his kit. And speaking of the kit, we'll start with the A1, attack one enemy. It's going to grant an extra turn and decrease the cooldown of Stasis Strike, which is his A3, by 2 turns if the attack gets a kill, and then we can get 20% damage from books. And if you want the multiplier on the A1, it is going to be a 4.0 times attack on a single target. Then for the A2, we've got an AoE that we can book to a 3-turn cooldown and a 100% chance of trying to place the big version of defense break and decrease accuracy for 2 turns. And if you want the multiplier on that, we have got a 4.4 times AoE on the A2 there. Then for the A3, this is the one that gets the cooldown reduced by the A1 if it gets a kill. This one's got a lot going on here. We've got a single target ability that fully depletes the target's turn meter, and the multiplier for the single target is going to be 6.2 times 1, which is pretty decent for a single target. Then, as long as that is a critical hit, then there's going to be a bonus AoE that we can book to 100% chance of placing a weakened debuff for 2 turns, and also place an HP burn debuff for 2 turns after the attack on enemies whose turn meters are below 30%. So a lot going on there. We can get a lot of value out of that. Book that to a 4-turn cooldown with the 20% more damage and the more guaranteed debuff chance on the weaken. Then the multiplier for the AoE part of it, so that's what you can see it is broken down 6.2 times 1. That's the single target part of it. And then if you crit and get that bonus AoE, it's going to be a 4 times AoE on the second hit that does the bonus damage. Then we've got a passive here, Stayed, which fills the champion's turn meter by 10% every time they are hit. It occurs once per hit. We will get into that. It is worded very weird. It says occurs once per hit. So you would think if you're going up against somebody like a Lord Shazar that walks up, hits you 3 times, you would get 30% damage or a turn meter boost. We'll talk about this in a little bit. It actually doesn't work like that. Also fill the champion's turn meter by 20% whenever an ally dies. Then we've got an aura that is going to increase ally attack in arena battles by 35%. And while we're on the subject of the kit and the skills here, I do want to pull up some footage on these skills. So right here, this is going to be what his AI prioritizes. That is the AoE that is going to place the defense down and the decrease accuracy. This is the single target where you get a bonus hit as long as it's a crit. There you can see the bonus AoE coming right after the single target. And then this is going to be the default ability where if you get a kill, it's going to grant an extra turn and decrease the cooldown of the A3 that will do that single target with the bonus AoE. And then I also want to show you what I was talking about there with the turn meter. Remember this ability here, the passive. Fill the champion's turn meter by 10% every time they are hit. occurs once per hit. It should be, or it should say occurs once per turn, unless I'm missing something. But in my testing, I'll show you what I mean. You're only going to get one effect from that one proc of the stayed passive. Even if you go up against a triple hitter where they hit you 3 times, you're going to get that effect once. I can show you right here. Where Chazar, bang, it doesn't proc. And then 2, it doesn't proc. And then on the last hit, boom, you'll see the stayed passive procs to boost the turn meter. I'll let you see that again. And boom. So you can see how his turn meter is not full. And on the last hit, it fills the turn meter that last little bit. Watch right here. And boom, turn meter fills. So it only works once on multiple hits. So this wording should be changed a little bit. We were speculating that's how it is, but it's nice to finally be able to test this guy and get confirmation on that. But it should say fill the champion's turn meter by 10%. Every time they are hit, can occur a maximum of once per enemy turn. But now let's head on over to the Hurndig that I have got built, and we'll talk about the build, the gearing process, the booking, and the masteries. Okay, so here is the Hurndig that I've got built, and I am actually on the test server, so I don't have the full capabilities of my main account. But given the fact this guy is a fusion, I wanted to dive in, do some testing, especially to figure out things like that turn meter and at least get you some content on exactly how this guy feels after testing him for a little bit. So you'll see here, this is a build where I did some damage dealing because I wanted to see what he could do in terms of cranking out damage. I'll show you how hard he hits in the arena and all that here in a little bit, and see him as a campaign farmer. He does very good as a campaign farmer. So wanted to test him out and put him together as a damage dealer here. But you can also make a case that you could build him as kind of a high speed, maybe relentless set or something, high speed, high toughness, just kind of support. He can be built in multiple different ways as a debuffer, kind of turn meter control, support with the defense down and the decreased accuracy, a bunch of AoE coming out of a like high crit build to take advantage of a stun set or something. There's lots of different ways you can go, but this was the damage dealing build. If you're going to do that, obviously ignore defense is great, cruel, savage, all that type of stuff would make sense. So if you're curious about the stats on my build, there it is on the right side if you want to check those out. And then that leads us into the banner is mostly going to be accuracy. A lot of his value as a champion is going to be landing the different debuffs and turn meter decrease that he does. So you're going to want accuracy most of the time for the banner. Amulet, this is going to synergize with your build. You either go toughness or crit damage. Defense and HP can both be viable. You would ideally like to get at least a couple accuracy rolls on the amulet. Then for the ring, you just want to get as much attack, HP, and defense as you can get out of that slot. The boots, since he is a debuffer, he's typically going to be high speed, so speed boots are going to make sense most of the time. And then again, for the chest piece and the gloves, you want to decide, are you building him for damage? If so, you go attack percentage, and then like crit rate or crit damage on the gloves. Or you would go probably, I mean, he's got 1100 base defense and only 16,000 HP. So a defense percent chest could work fine on him if you're going for a more tanky support type build. Same story with the gloves there. Top ones are pretty simple. You just want to match it up with your build and get the best blend of the substats up there, but that's the ones that I am using just in case you were curious. Then for the booking process, he does take 15 books, which is unfortunate. There's no way around it. I wish he took closer to 10. I think that would be a better route to go. 15 is getting up there with Brackus at 16. Pixneal at 18, getting up there to be one of the more book heavy champions in the game. So that's unfortunate. And then in terms of books, you definitely want to get the A2 booked, and that would be the priority. And then if you get the cooldowns on the A3 here, definitely good. And if you get enough RNG to save a book or two on the A1, not bad idea to go with there. But he is a decent progression champion and pretty generally useful. So if you're going to invest some books in him, it's not the worst idea in the world to just go ahead and book him up. But it does take a lot, which is unfortunate. Then for the masteries, this was what I went for just to kind of try out the damage build. I wanted to pair the Helm Smasher with the Savage, ignore as much defense as I could. But I mean, this would be mostly generally useful. If you're not going to do a high damage build, you could go with like Eagle Eye to make it easier to get the accuracy thresholds, or go for Oppressor. He does place a lot of debuffs, so you could increase the turn meter fill rate. High speed on him is just fine. If you're going to be using him in the Clan Boss, you would want to go for a War Master for more of like an early to mid game Clan Boss type style. So lots of different ways you can go. This is what I did use on the damage dealing build, and obviously you can pick those up on the infographic down below if you want to be able to look at those whenever you would like. And before we dive into the full grades for Hurndig and going through that process, I do want to show you some of the footage I recorded or compiled from the time that I was spending here testing, and I snipped some of this for you guys here. So there you can see this is going to be a campaign run where he is an 8-second 12-3 endgame viable campaign farmer, slamming through 12-3 in 8 seconds because of the AoE that he's able to crank out. This is going to be an arena fight, an example of him kind of built as a damage dealer, and boom, he prioritizes that AoE damage. And boom, you can see there the 130, the 120, the 103, able to hit decently hard. He is not a Trunda, but he can crank out some damage. And then this was what I was talking about earlier, the passive, and showing you that it only procs on the last hit. That was definitely an important point to drive home from the footage that I gathered and doing some testing to figure out what I wanted to show here on video in terms of footage. So, all right, we are on the test server, so all of these are at 0 ratings. Let's go ahead and do this. We've got campaign, he's a 5. He's an 8-second campaign farmer. He does defense down and all sorts of cool stuff for the campaign. Maybe not the most amazing champion for 3-starring content, but definitely a good campaign hero. Offense, I'll go 5, and defense, I'll go 4 as far as the arena. Now, he's not going to be God tier, platinum tier, but for gold and below, he's a fine arena champion. You can build him either as a damage dealer, like I said, or you can build him as a debuffer. And I think people sleep on decreased accuracy a little bit. That can be extremely useful in the arena. So I'll go 5 and 4 on the different arena rankings there. The Void Keep, yeah, I mean, he's going to be good for some of these like speed farming type dungeons. He's weak on the Force Keep, but defense break is huge there, so I'll still give him a 4. The Magic Keep, yeah, I mean, he's just going to be kind of fine for these with some crucial debuffs there. The Ice Golem, yeah, I mean, it's like a 4.5 on the Ice Golem. Dragon, he's going to be fine, really good for the waves. The turn meter stuff won't work against the Dragon, so again, it'd be like a 4.5. The Fire Knight, he can be pretty fun there with the turn meter steal, the decreased defense. Yeah, I mean, and he can do some multi-hitters as long as he's critting. So again, it'd be like a 4.5, but we'll give him some love there. Minotaur is great, definitely a 5. Spider, so the HP burn is pretty unreliable, but he does have some control type stuff, so we'll give him a 4 there. Clan Boss, yeah, I mean, again, kind of unreliable on the HP burn, but he can place defense down and weaken, which is pretty solid. It'd be like a high 3 or a low 4, something like that. Faction Wars, he's great. Lots of different routes you can go. Not going to be like amazing versus the boss fight maybe, but he does bring some good debuffs in the turn meter manipulation. I only say that because his base HP is low, and that boss ignores defense, so it could be a little bit rough. But other than that, he's great in Faction Wars, so I'll give him a 5. So now let's talk about my thoughts on Hurndig after testing him, if you should go for him in the Fusion and all of that type of stuff. I mean, yeah, you should go for him in the Fusion. I think he's a good champion, and you never know when legendaries are going to get adjusted in the future or anything. So you definitely want to get legendaries when it's realistic for you to do so, but don't like break the bank. Don't start going crazy to do the Fusion or anything. But definitely do it if it's realistic for you to get it done. I'm going to give them like a B+ on designing Hurndig. I think he's really good for early and mid-game accounts. He's a pretty generally useful champion with some fun things going on in his kit. Do I think he's gonna be like used a lot by really endgame players, like the type of players that have their Great Hall maxed out and have been playing for a year or two? He might not get used a ton, but he is still generally useful, and I can see breaking him out in the right situation. Decreased accuracy isn't a super common debuff, and that can really help high resistance teams, and I think it's kind of an undersold debuff in general. So yeah, I mean, like I said, B+ or so I'd give them in his design. I would maybe give him a little bit more utility or a little bit more love, especially with the low base HP or maybe make him do a little bit more damage, or make him a different affinity or something, because magic affinity, you've already got your Trundas and your Folies and stuff, so hard for him to fit in as like a damage dealing nuker there. So yeah, there's a couple different things they could have gone in terms of making the fusion a little bit more beneficial in my eyes. And also, I can't forget to mention the books again. 15 books is rough and unfortunate. I am not a fan of that, so that does lower. I can't give the champion design an A. For somebody that's as strong as Hurndig is in terms of not being like OP, but yet he takes 15 books. So that just eliminates giving an A. So B or B plus would be my grade for the design of Hurndig. But I would love to hear what you think down below. Let me know if you agree, if you disagree, where I was right, where I was wrong. I really enjoy, especially on new champions like this, hearing multiple perspectives to learn as much as I can about the champion. And then remember, I will have that infographic down below in the pinned comment if you would like to pull that up. So that'll do it for this one. Good luck if you're going for the fusion. And as always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.